when you're ready. Yes. Stand. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبع هداه إلى يوم يلقاه. أما بعد, this is another episode from How Should We Face the Fitan, and it's class number 16. The date is 5th of Dhul Hijjah 1445, 11th of June 2024. And we are now at the moment after we have said what is the manhaj, the manhaj, which is the how to tackle those fitan with the Quran, with the Sunnah, how to deal with those fitan with the Quran and Sunnah, and how should be the believer stance and how should he face those fitan. And then we're going to be talking about a very important topic which is related to that, because we believe that this is the one that made the people not to deal with the fitan in the right manner. And that is the scholars. Because we need to know the importance of having doctors for the heart spiritually, just like we are having doctors for the heart physically. You know that the heart has got a problem. It's a big problem. Physically speaking, you need a doctor. And spiritually, we need the doctor of the heart to tackle this fitan and to make sure that we are going on the straight path. Because those scholars who are the doctors of the heart, they are the inheritors of the Prophet. Those are the callers to Allah, but on knowledge, dua. And they are the ones to be the reference and the reference point when there is a fitna. There's a fitna, our eyes go to the scholar. What do you say? Always. When there's a big fitna, like the fitna of Gaza, what is taking place, we go to the scholars. We don't listen to what the media says or to those people who have no knowledge. They're just running the show with no knowledge. All of it's emotion, and emotion makes you disaster, as we're going to see. Allah Azza wa Jalla, He said, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي وَسُبْحَانَ اللَّهِ وَمَا أَنَا مِنَ الْمُشْرِكِينَ. Meaning, say, O Muhammad, to them, that this is my way, sabil. This is the way I call to Allah upon basira, upon knowledge. Me and the ones who follows me. And glorified be to Allah, I'm not going to be amongst those who are polytheists, kuffar, mushrikeen. Also Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As radiallahu anhuma, he said that I've heard the Prophet ﷺ saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not remove the knowledge by removing it from the chest of the people. Does not remove the knowledge by removing it from the books or the chests of the people. But He removes the knowledge by making the people of knowledge to die, by passing death upon those people who are knowledgeable. Until there is no knowledgeable people, here there is no knowledgeable people, or there is but not enough. So the people will take people who are ru'us, head, juhal, ignorant. So they are taking people who are not the people of knowledge to be their scholars, whom they will ask them in the case of there is something to do with the fitna. And that's the biggest fitna. When you ask somebody who's not a scholar. So when you have lots of people committed to the deen, you know, a long time ago, let's say my time, 1970s, in my city, I can't count how many people have got beard. I could count how many youth who have thob, meaning thob like this. My time, when I was in the school, no youth would put this thob unless he's circumcised. Oh, this is not a joke. Only circumcised youth will have that thawb. Why? Because they're circumcised, and when you have the trousers, they might touch the private part of this, and then they will be up and down, jumping. So they put the thawb, making them want spaces for them, nice, comfortable. So if I put the thawb at that time, the children will say, "Oh, he's being circumcised," all the time. And the people of the beard, almost next to zero. Unless he's too old, he ran out of, razors to shave his beard, then he will let go of the beard. Very, very rare. To such an extent, if somebody would put a beard on, they will say, "You got a broom in your face?" Yes, they call it like a broom, to wipe the floor with it. Subhanallah, when the scholars came, like Sheikh al-Albani had, mashallah, came to Jordan and all of that, we began to see, especially at the beginning of 80s, and especially more beginning of the 1990s, I'm talking about the Christian era, the Gregorian date. We've got hundreds. So much. Now, if you go to our country, you will feel maybe there's a balance here between the ones that got beard and the ones who got no beard. But the problem is that this move towards the thawb and the sheikh and the lihya, in terms of commitment and abiding to the deen, wasn't accompanied with the move of that we have more scholars. Do you understand me? So the number of scholars are not matching the people who want to go to the religion. So you've got too many people, a few who are knowledgeable, and that's a disaster. If you don't have knowledgeable people to run the show, this person who is hungry for the deen, he will hook onto anything. He could go Khawarij, he could go Mu'tazila, he could go Jama'at Tabligh, he could whatever. Because he's empty. And he's hungry for the deen. And he's got good intention. But there's nobody to take his hand to the right path. So the Prophet ﷺ said that there will be no people except for those who are ignorant heads, and they are ignorant and they are big heads, okay, and they will be asked for questions. You step down, Mufti, and he's got no knowledge. He will give futya, misguiding himself and misguiding those who had asked him. As for the scholar, if I want to speak about the excellence of the scholar from the Quran, the Sunnah, that's another class in itself. But we have to touch on things. إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. The ones who have the real fear of Allah, the ones who are scholars. The more you know about Allah, the more fear you have towards Allah. Prophet ﷺ, he said, من سلك طريقا يلتمس فيه علما سلك الله به طريقا إلى الجنة. He who chooses a path through which he would seek knowledge, Allah will put him a path that would lead him to paradise. So the path for seeking knowledge is the same path of going to paradise. وإن فضل العالم على العابد. And the excellence of the difference between the excellence of the person who is knowledgeable and worshipper and the mere worshipper. So you got a person who's knowledgeable, he worships Allah. And the person who's got no knowledge is a devotee. The difference between them is like the difference between the moon when it is full and the rest of the stars. The rest of the stars are nothing next to the moon. If the moon is full, you can't even see the stars. Why? Because the light of that full moon would light everything. Even the stars, they've got bigger light, but because they're too far, you can't see them. And also he said that إِنَّ الْعَالِمِ, verily the scholar, لَا يَسْتَغْفِرُ لَهُ. The following things, they seek forgiveness for him. What are they? قال من فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَنْ فِي الْأَرْضِ. Whoever is in the heavens, whoever is in the earth, everything. قال وَالْحِيتَانُ فِي جَوْفِ الْمَاءِ. So we got heavens above, earth, heavens are the angels, earth the people, and even whatever is in the sea, Hitan, the fish in the sea. وَفَضْلُ الْعَالِمِ. This is the excellence of the scholar, is that the ulama are the inheritors, the heirs of the prophets. And the prophets did not bequeath a dirham or a dinar. They bequeathed the knowledge. All the prophets did not leave anything to bequeath. They're not allowed to have any prophet to bequeath his heirs, because a prophet has to be shown that he's not after getting a lot of money and then bequeath it to his relatives. Okay, so there's no prophet bequeath anything except for the knowledge, and he who takes the knowledge, he had taken a a big portion. So now this is the important issue. So the scholar is the da'iyah. Because it has been now spreading, unfortunately, till today, to some people, and especially also the ones who are affiliated to a particular partisan or a particular group, particular jama'ah, that the scholars are different from the dua. This is a scholar and he's a da'iyah. As soon as he's a scholar, yeah, you think about a scholar, he's just behind the table in his books, no khutbah Jum'ah, no class, just scholar. The da'iyah, he's the one who's moving about, giving the knowledge. That's what is happening. Can I ask for the brothers, please, to come forward and fill up this gap, please, Ikhwani? قرب هنا يا أخي، قرب هنا. Fill this gap. Yeah, Jazakallah. Leave the camera. Mr. Camera cannot have a space for us. طيب. So the da'iyah is being made into the, you just spotted light in me now, Muhammad. The da'iyah is being made now, is the one who is the one you need to go and listen to. Because the scholar is just like a king, you can't even reach him. That's what they had planted in the people's mind. So now the ones who are the da'iyah, they're not the ulama. Who are they? Youngsters, youth. And they've got now everything they want. They've got their own media. They don't have to come to the masjid for people to listen to them, because maybe there's nobody to listen to them. They've got their own channel. And they're starting to spread their venom and their ignorance. SubhanAllah. And on top of that, they will label those scholars that these are the scholars of the hayd wal nafas. They are for menses, for post-childbirth bleeding. These are the scholars. They will not go beyond the women's pants. A'udhu billah. Yes, they don't go beyond the women's pants. That means they're just for hayd wal nafas. So if you want to ask hayd wal nafas, don't ask the da'iyah, ask the scholar. How many days she should be not praying, and how, what is that, menses or not menses. So they are ulama hayd wal nafas. Or the other one, ulama dhayli baghlat al-sultan. They are the ones who are behind the rulers. They are the ones in the pocket of the sultans. They are the one whom the caliph can drag them wherever he wants. Do you understand me? That means they just say what the governor says. They will not dare to say anything to fix whatever is wrong. It's always with them. So they are also they call them the scholars of the yellow pages, because they're really old. Yellow pages, not yellow pages I'm talking about the one that used to find things in it. No, yellow pages mean here that they are really so old. Just for the yellow pages, they haven't got fiqh al-waqi', the understanding of the current affairs, because they're locked up in their offices, in their tables, between their libraries, between their books. So they have no touch with the people outside. So the da'iyah is better understanding than those scholars. That's what they're telling the people. Those are da'iyah, they know the current situation. They are in touch with the people. The scholars know. So the people now, they're not listening to the scholars. Actually, they label them with the worst of labels, as we're going to see. The worst of labels. So the scholar as well, as Jama'at Tabligh, they will tell their followers, the scholars is just like a will. As for the da'iyah, you are like a cloud. The will, you need a bucket, you need a rope to get the bucket and the rope to fetch the water. But the cloud can rain everywhere. See? So the person is now stuck to those people. Oh yes, they are better. Because the da'iyah, like the cloud. Okay? And at the same time, they are insulting the scholars, but in a different way. Indirectly. Saying, they're a will. That means you have to go and fetch the water, you're going to be too tired, but this is one running everywhere. And the will is only located in one place, whereas the cloud can go everywhere. Look at that. So this batil from the hizbis to the hizbis, whether the jama'ah or hizb, all of them ahzab, this is batil. This is falsehood. Jazakallah khair. This is batil, falsehood. And why it is batil? Jazakallah khair. Bismillah. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us that the ones who are knowledgeable are the ones who are the real followers of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Ibn al-Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi says regarding the verse that we have quoted at the beginning, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي, he said, وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي, the one, also the one who followed me. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي, say, O Muhammad, this is my path. أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ, call upon, or to Allah, upon this path. عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ, upon knowledge. أَنَا, me, the Prophet, وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي, and the ones who had followed him. He said, Ibn al-Qayyim began, woman, and the one who followed me here. This and goes back to two things. One which is either to ad'u ila Allah, that means caller to Allah, or it means, that means the ones who are followers of the Prophet of Allah. One of the two. The one who follows the Prophet of Allah. So either he called, so it is both. So if you want, the ones who are follows the Prophet of Allah are the ones who call to Allah. And the ones who call to Allah are the ones who are the followers of Allah. The followers of the Prophet of Allah. So they are the scholars. So they are people of knowledge and calling to Allah. And the Prophet ﷺ, he had, in that hadith we quoted, clarified that issue by saying that the prophets did not bequeath any dirham or dinar. They have bequeathed knowledge. And the scholars are the heirs, the inheritors of the prophets. So they took the knowledge from the prophets. Al-ulama'u warathatul anbiya. So that means the ulama, they are the callers of Allah. They are the dua ila Allah. Also the ulama, they are the imam of this deen. They are the one who trustees for the religion. They are the trustees. Allah Azza wa Jal, he said, وَجَعَلْنَا مِنْهُمْ أَئِمَّةً, we have made from the children of Israel imams, يَهْدُونَ بِأَمْرِنَا, guide with our command, with our Quran, guide with our revelation, لَمَّا صَبَرُوا, when they were patient, وَكَانُوا بِآيَاتِنَا يُوقِنُونَ, and they were certain regarding our verses. You have to have patience and certainty, then you get the imamah. Also, the imamah, it means in the deen, al-imamah fi da'wah. So if you are imam in the religion, you are imam in the da'wah. Allah said, وَجَعَلْنَا لِلْمُتَّقِينَ إِمَامًا, O Lord, make us to be imam for those who are pious. So that means the scholars, they are the callers to the sake of Allah. They are the ones who are the dua. The ulama, they are the best of people after the prophets. Allah already said, يَرْفَعِ اللَّهُ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مِنْكُمْ وَالَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْعِلْمَ دَرَجَاتٍ. Allah would elevate those who are, number one, believers from amongst you. Number two, the ones who have been given the knowledge, I mean the scholars, the ranks. So the ones who have been in elevated ranks, two types of people. الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, and also the ones who have been given the knowledge. And the best of ranks that the believer can reach is the call for the sake of Allah. Who said so? Allah Azza wa Jal. وَأَنَّهُ لَمَّا قَامَ عَبْدُ اللَّهِ يَدْعُوهُ كَادُوا يَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِ لِبَدًا. When the Prophet ﷺ, he made to stood up to teach those who are the jinn, they wanted to learn, all of them surrounded the Prophet ﷺ. كَادُوا يَكُونُونَ عَلَيْهِ لُبَدًا. They were around the Prophet. So the Prophet of Allah, once he started the knowledge, he was calling for the sake of Allah. So this is because of this, the call for the sake of Allah is the most noble rank that the slave can reach, and it will not be gained except with knowledge. So the caller of Allah, if he has no knowledge, then he is calling for ignorance. He has to have the knowledge in order to call correctly to the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. So it is important that for the person when he's da'iyah to have settlement in the knowledge, to have well profound, well forced or reinforced ground that he's on it in order to teach the people. So the most noble rank that the person as a slave of Allah can reach is to be a da'i ilallah with knowledge. That means as a scholar or a student of knowledge. The ulama, the scholars, they are okay. Yeah. Al-ulama, the scholars, they are hujjatullah. They are the proof of Allah Azza wa Jal about His religion and that He is the Almighty and that Islam is the Haqq. They are the Hujjah and they are the ones who sign on behalf of the Almighty. Imam al-Qayyim, he said, إعلام الموقعين. The book of his, إعلام الموقعين عن رب العالمين. إعلام الموقعين means the ones who sign on behalf of the Lord. Who are they? Scholars. Because when the scholar say a fatwa, it is linked, that is Allah Azza wa Jalla said it. So Allah is not speaking to you, is He? Allah is speaking to you through His people. So those scholars, they are the one interpreting for you the ayah, interpreting for you the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. So they're like giving the signature on behalf of the Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala. Prophet sallallahu alaihi, Allah Azza wa Jalla, he said, وَلَوْ رَدُّوهُ إِلَى الرَّسُولِ وَإِلَى أُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْهُمْ. If they had to return the matter, the affair, to the messenger of Allah and to those who are in charge. Who are they in the charge? We're going to see. لَعَلِمَهُ الَّذِينَ يَسْتَنْبِطُونَهُ مِنْهُمْ. The ones who are knowledgeable, they will know how to derive, how to come to the conclusion, how to give the right verdict and the right fatwa. وَلَوْلَا فَضْلُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْكُمْ وَرَحْمَتُهُ. Had it been the blessings of Allah upon you and the mercy of His upon you, لَاتَّبَعْتُمُ الشَّيْطَانَ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. You would have followed the shaitan, Iblis, except for few of you. And the hujjah, the proof of the Lord on His people, cannot be established except on the tongue of a person who is a knowledgeable person, who is a faqih. So that is why the scholars, they are the da'iyah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The scholars, those are the ones we have called them قال وَأُولِي الْأَمْرِ مِنْهُمْ. If they have to return it back to those who are in charge, those are the ones who are the scholars in charge, the ones whom you should abide by their saying, as the most of the Salaf scholars, they said regarding أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولي الأمر منكم, obey Allah and obey His messenger and those who are in charge. The ones who are in charge is being interpreted, the ones of knowledge, the ones who are scholars, the ones who are da'iyah. That means the scholar, he is the one who is da'iyah ila Allah. The ulama, the scholars, they are the trustees of this ummah. Ibn Qayyim rahmatullahi alayhi says, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He had made the scholars to be having the power of attorney. They've been empowered. That is to be the safeguarding for the religion of Allah Azza wa Jal, the safeguarding for Tawheed, safeguarding for all the things that are related to the deen. Allah Azza wa Jal had accepted them to be the ones, to be the trustees on His religion. The scholars who are followers, true followers of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أُولَٰئِكَ الَّذِينَ آتَيْنَاهُمُ الْكِتَابِ. Those are the ones we have given them the book. وَالْحُكْمَ وَالنُّبُوَّةِ. And we gave them the rule and we gave them the prophethood. فَإِن يَكْفُرْ بِهَا هَؤُلَاء فَقَدْ وَكَّلْنَا بِهَا قَوْمًا لَيْسُوا بِهَا بِكَافِرِينَ. If they disbelieve on the prophets, we have given the power of attorney for those who are not disbelieving or denying the verses of the prophet. Who are they? The scholars. So the scholars also, they are the ones who are being addressed by the following ayah. فَاسْأَلُوا أَهْلَ الذِّكْرِ إِن كُنْتُمْ لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Ask the people of knowledge if you know not. Who are the people of knowledge? The scholars. Ya Ahlul Dhikr. Ahlul Dhikr, the people of Dhikr, are not the ones who are making the dhikr of Allah in a mubtadi' way, or an innovated way, shaking their head from one side to another. These are not the ones who are Ahlul Dhikr. Ahlul Dhikr here are the ones of knowledge. The people of knowledge are the scholars of the deen. So therefore, the scholars, they are the ones who are people of the da'wah, people of the du'a ila Allah Azza wa Jal. So if with all this had been, alhamdulillah, established, we know that the scholars, they are the real leaders. They are the ones who should be in the front when it comes to call the people to the path of Allah. These are the ones who are the du'a. Those are the ones who will remove the heresies and the innovations which had crept into the deen, clarify the doubtful matters which have been thrown by the innovators onto the believers. These are the ones who will dismantle all of those things and tackle all of these problems. And that's what the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith. يَنْفُونَ عَنْهُ تَحْرِيفَ الْغَالِينَ. There will be some people who are the ones who can take away and clarify the alterations of the ones who are extremists. وَتَأْوِيلَ الْمُبْطِلِينَ وَانْتِحَالَ الْجَاهِلِينَ. And the ones who are false interpreters and the ones who are impersonators. The ones who are thinking that or presenting themselves to be people of knowledge, the people of knowledge will say that those are not knowledgeable. So those are the ones whom Allah Azza wa Jal had given them the inheritance or the heritage of the prophets in order to lead the people. If we don't have these people, then the ship will sink, no doubt about that. Now I'm going to quote here some of the saying of one of the scholars. And he had said some points which I want to share with you, very important, to show you the danger of splitting between this da'iyah and a scholar. He's a da'iyah. Or when they say the scholar, he's not a da'iyah. The scholar is not a da'iyah. So they're turning the people away from. What is the danger of this? And it's coming now. And that is why now these days they're insulting the scholars. Any person who speaks about so-called resistance in Gaza, regardless, he's what? Down. They'll slaughter him. We don't even listen to them. It's true. And what I'm saying to you guys, I'm saying to you because you've been brought up, mashallah, in a Salafi masjid. But there are people outside, okay, you. If I say these words, one of them is going to stand up here. Whoa! Stand up. Who are these scholars are the petrol in their pockets? They take money from Muhammad bin Sulaiman. They will be like that. But because you've been trained. And that's why we tell the da'iyah, ikhwani, the person of knowledge, you have to keep talking to your people about the Salafi Aqeedah and to train them so that when it comes to this day, when we have the fitan, those people, they will not be that sort of shocked because they've been immunized. So if you immunize them with the knowledge, and you are, alhamdulillah. So when this fitna comes, you will not be shaken with that. It's like a COVID-19 vaccine, but it's a real vaccine. And it's got no, as well, side effects. It's good effects. Vaccine. But if you haven't trained the people as a da'iyah, as a student of knowledge, then it is not correct to start talking to the people. Hamas are no good. And because you're speaking to drunk. Wallahi, the people are drunk. And I mean what I'm saying. They are drunk. Not because of alcohol. No. They're drunk from the fitna. They're drunk. You're talking to a person who's drunk. He is saying, let's go and kill the Muslims. He's not saying it bluntly like this. But he's saying, if you dare to speak about Hamas and to stop what they're doing, you are shaitan. And then he once says, you are a kafir. You are with the Jews. You are with the Zionists. Like this. And the ones who try to stop the bloodshed is us. These people, they should stop sending their fireworks and then hide themselves. And then these people, they come and bomb. And by Allah, that those people, Netanyahu and his government, all of that, they're looking for idiots like these people. Because they're giving them the alibi to kill these people. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. They are giving them the ammunition. You see, we're killing because they sent us firecracker. They have actually killed a cat. They didn't kill a human being with the firecrackers. They killed one cat. They killed how many people were Muslims? And they said, Akhi, don't speak about the resistance. Muqawama hadi. Those are scholars are not scholars. Then they start swearing. Some of them even worse, they go, the kuffar. A'udhu billahi, akhi. And he's where sitting? Where is he sitting? Here, making money. Here in this country or in the country, away from the shooting, away from the bombs. Wallahi, if he hear just one bullet, he will run like a rat. You prove me wrong. Wallah. And they scare even from the police. They run. They run. Subhanallah. That's what they are. But they just encourage muqawama, resistance. And he's sitting now, sipping his coffee, thinking, watching Jazeera on the TV. That's it. Entertainment for him, entertainment. Watching his Muslim brothers being killed, entertainment. And you give them, they're drunk, ya Sheikh, they're drunk. So if they are drunk, don't address them and say to them, 7th of October is a worst thing for the Palestine. Don't say that to them. They will shoot you. Don't. Say to them talk about maybe what happened. So how bad the history of those people who are killing the Muslims. Talk about that, maybe they will be agreeing with you. But to say to them like this, unless they're trained like yourself. That's why I'm, alhamdulillah, in the land of my safety now here. When I speak, I know there are people who shake their heads. Yes, correct. You'll have one odd. I was giving a lecture about get the right weapon to face the fitan. That was my lecture's title. Get the right weapon to face the fitan. They put a flyer for myself saying like this: get the right weapon to face the fitan. I said, no, you should have made it like this: get the right weapon to face the fitan. When I spoke in that masjid, because that masjid is not trained like yourself, after I finished the lecture, first question came from one person in the middle there. He said, so you're telling us not to go and protest, to make a mudahara, demonstration? Didn't the Prophet ﷺ say, "Man ra'a minkum munkaran falyughayyirhu biyadihi"? And he quoted the hadith in English very eloquently. He who had seen evil, shouldn't he be changing it with his hands? And if he can't, then change it with his words. If he can't, then with his heart. See, this person hasn't been trained for this fitna. So I had to talk about it, and in a way that he had nothing to say. He was listening. Either because no other people had helped him to start fighting about this point, or maybe he was convinced. Allahu A'lam. So, Ikhwani, I'm going to quote to you things which is the danger of splitting between the scholar and the da'iyah. These hizbi, they would say, leave that scholar. He's not a da'iyah. You have to look for a da'iyah. Harak da'iyah, goes. He says he's just with his books. He sits down, he gives fatwa, he's not even involved. That's how they say to you. That's how they tell you. Okay, so we could see here that those hizbis, they take people who are ignorant. Most of them, they don't understand in the religion, except for whatever they like from the religion. And it's only ideologies that he's holding. And it's based upon emotions, based upon maybe race as well. Okay, the Palestinian, you will find them more being raged regarding Palestine than the one which is not Palestinian. And then they will take us as these people to run the show. Secondly, you'll find that very few scholars and shuyukh who are understanding the religion in those partisans. You don't find a sheikh or a scholar in these partisans. And you know that having a scholar is one of the conditions to make a call to Allah, to be a da'iyah. It's a condition to be a knowledgeable, especially in the big affairs. The big affairs that touches the whole ummah, like jihad, like making the coups, like putting down the leaders. Those are big, massive issues. We only refer to scholars, not even to normal student of knowledge, the big scholars. Thirdly, that these people, they have got the right understanding of the importance and the rank of the scholars. They don't look at them in the right category and how they should be treated and what is their relation to the da'wah to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is why you find that those people accuse those scholars of falling short of having the right understanding of the current situation. They don't, because they're not involved. So that's what they say. So when they are not connecting themselves to the scholars, their excuse is that these scholars, they are the scholars of, as I said, menstruation and such and such. They're not really in touch with the people. So Some of those so-called da'iyas, which have got no knowledge, they raise themselves in the eyes of the people by speaking ill against the scholars. Do you understand me? He makes himself more important by labeling such and such scholar as to be. Wallahi, by the Allah, the one who is listening to me. I was in my city, and there was, at the time of the war against Iraq, if you remember, I'm talking about here the 1990, the big earthquake that happened in the Gulf area. When Iraq, they were wrong to invade their Kuwait, but after that, they were wrong themselves. They were wronged by having all these allies against them. And Iraq left Kuwait, but they want to what? Bombard them. So Iraq wanted to have the sympathy and the support from the Muslim countries. So they started sending some rockets to Israel. You heard about this, you remember this, Israel. Because when the people, now, some of the scholars have said that sending these rockets like that, and the Israel was not involved. It was America is the one, yes, involved with hard, they agree. But they are trying to, some of the scholars, they said that this is not right and correct. I have been listening to a big, massive gathering in my city with a stage. And then on top of the stage, they brought those people to bring the people, the ones who I call them the drummers. Oh, Hizbi have their drummers, Nasheed, but Nasheed with duf. Thuri. Oh, come on, revolution. And in there was a speakers. And the speakers with mega phones. You know, mega phones, they would really reach a lot. Wallahi, I've heard that person saying, Ibn Baz, Ibn Kaz. What a very low insultation. Ibn Baz. This Ibn Baz, Ibn Kaz. Kaz here means gasoline. And when you say he is Ibn Baz, the son of Baz, the Sheikh Ibn Baz, he is the son of the gasoline. That's the very lowest insultation that we have. I mean, the Jordanian will understand. Ibn Kaz, I mean, you are below anything. You filth. These people in front of others, and they say, Allahu Akbar, the youth. So how much hatred those youth had towards Sheikh Ibn Baz, rahimahullah. Would they listen to him? No way. Because of these ahzab. That's what they've done. So, wal-iyadhu billah, they will make those youth memorize and uphold and champion some certain slogans. And those slogans are just to make them against them scholars and with their jama'ah. So they will dismantle, separate between the people and their real imams, which are the shuyukhs. And they will make, taking knowledge from them is even prohibited. Yes. So when one of those people who is, for example, from Hizb al-Ikhwan, Brotherhood, he came to listen to some of the talks of Sheikh al-Albani, they banned him. They frozen him, because they freeze him. They frozen him. Jammadu. Why? Because he was listening to Sheikh al-Albani. And he's a well-known person. I'm going to say his name because I don't want people to search behind what I'm just saying. I don't want him to go and get this guy. This guy as well, he was deviated. But anyway, he used to listen to Sheikh al-Albani. Because of that, they sent him what? A letter to the Hizb. Because you listen to Sheikh al-Albani, you're off the Jama'ah. Sheikh al-Albani, the scholar. No. You can't listen to it. You have to listen to their own ignorant people. Not to the shuyukh, the real shuyukh. That's what is happening. So this is a very, very severe matter that made these fitan to thrive and made the people do not understand. They are in a state of drunkenness. No way you could gather this ummah except through the scholars. If those partisans, they believe that the way to gather these people, the way that they're doing it, they are in total wrong. The ones who are going to gather this ummah, the scholars or the inheritors of the prophets. So when we had now this isolation between the scholars and those people, some ideologies popped out and been adopted. And those ideologies are against the Ahl Salaf. Some of those who had even made for themselves like a protocol, like those, for example, Hizb ut-Tahrir. Al-Nabahani, their leader, the ones who is the one you call them, the person who is the one who had set for them their principles, he had taken from some Hanafi fiqh, some here fiqh, in order to make something which is suitable to those youth who are going to be behind him. Such an example. So they have adopted the following, that listening to the music through the radio is halal. Listening to the music from the music live, that's haram. Seeing a woman who is naked, in reality, a real one, haram. But looking at an image of a woman who's naked is halal. So the youth like that. Oh, alhamdulillah, khalas. So watching pornography is no problem. What is their ideologies being taken from? How they built it? You know, the person who looking at pornography and he says it's haram and he repents to Allah is different from the person looking at it and he says no problem. Because it's halal. It's dangerous. This is dangerous. Why? So they said, the Hanafi madhab, they went there, they talk about sujood at-tilawa. In the madhab al-Hanafi, if you heard sujood at-tilawa or you recited sujood at-tilawa, I mean like ayah has got sajda, then you must prostrate. Most of the scholars, they said it's not recommended, it's not a must. But the Ahnaf, it's a must. But now they go beyond that. They say, okay, it's a must if you recite it or you had heard. But what about if you were in the mountains and you heard the echo of a reciter who is reciting an ayah is got a prostration. Do you understand that now? It's not real voice, it's the echo. Ooh. They said, no, it doesn't carry the same rule, so it is not compulsory to prostrate. Okay, now, listen to the music. In reality, it's not going to carry the same rule of listening it through echo. And the radio is echo. It's not the real. It's not going to carry. So if it is haram to listen to it, in reality, it does not carry the rule if you listen to it from a different way. Not the... This is how they did it. Same thing. In the Hanafi madhab, they differentiate between the real and the shadow. So the real will take different rules from the shadow. Not every rule on the real can be implemented on the shadow. So they say now, looking at the women, that's real, that's haram. But the shadow of a woman, which is magazines, videos, anything, doesn't carry the same rule. See? Doesn't carry the same thing. Where did it got it? From there. Of course, the Hanafi didn't do this rule because of this, a'udhu billah. But this person taken that advantage and put it as a protocol for the shabab. The shabab, we would like to come to Hizb ut-Tahrir. You know, tahrir in everything. Liberation from all, even your values. Liberation from all your manners. No problem. And his slogans here, down, down, the leader. They're very philosophers. They memorize something and all their words are Khalifa, the Khalifa, the Khalifa. That's their words. Khalifa and the Khalifa. طيب. Another thing as well, when we find that those people, they don't have the appetite anymore to seek the knowledge and to seek it from the right people, because they have made a split between the da'iyah and the scholar is no good, the da'iyah is the one who's good. Now we have misunderstanding of things. People, they don't understand the fitna properly, because the ones who are running the show, they're not the scholars. The ones who are called da'iyah, who is not a scholar. Remember that, according to them. So those people who are da'iyah, they will all the time tell these people, don't listen to the scholars. Why? Because if these people listen to the scholars will show them the reality, that your da'iyah is the disease. Those are the ones you should not be listening. And they will tell them the proof. That is why they will keep terrorizing their followers not to listen to the real scholars. I'm just going to be summarizing more because now Prophet ﷺ said, "Inna min ashrat as-sa'ah," verily from the signs of the day of resurrection, that the people would start seeking the knowledge in the asagir. Asagir means the ones who have no knowledge, the people of bid'ah. If you are a person who, a simple no synonym knowledge, and you've given the fatwa being conveying it from a scholar, you are not from the asagir. The asagir is the one who takes the fatwa from themselves and they are ignorant. But if you're conveying the fatwa of another scholar, you're not from the asagir. You're not from the kiddies because you are relating, you're on just a bridge. That's all. So those people who are young and not linked to the scholars, those are the asagir which is meant in this hadith. And most of these partisans and most of these groups and jama'at, they depend upon some books which are filled with these ideologies being said by those asagir wal-iyadu billah. Now we come, ya ikhwani, to an important topic which is the shubuhat, doubtful matters. We have to train ourselves how to tackle the doubtful matters. Imam Ibn al-Taymiyyah rahmatullahi alayhi used to say that if the person didn't learn how to tackle these shubuhat and how to argue with those people and debate with them, a knowledgeable person, then he hasn't done the proper methodology of the Salaf. You have to train yourself. Because if we let these people to throw their venom and not for us to warn the general mass about this venom, then the people will take that venom and become venomous against us. So we have to make the people aware that these are not the correct way. This is not the correct knowledge. And by the way, if we let them to grow, it's going to be difficult for us to later to tackle them. So when they are less, it's better than when they are more. Now, when this treatise was, with the scholar was written, it was written at the time when there were few, but now it's too many because of the media spreading this ignorance so fast. So we have to tackle their shubuhat and refute their arguments. So the ones I want to talk about, the shubuhat of those people who say the protest and the demonstrations are halal. The ones who say the coup is correct. The one who says killing, terrorism is correct. Okay? Those are the ones we want to refute their argumentation. What we have no doubt that some of those people, they have good intention. Remember, they put the beard, the short thobe, because they want a deen, but they were misguided. Like Yazid al-Faqir, he said, we were astounded with one of the sayings of the Khawarij. That's it. We said, let's just go and make Hajj first, and then after that, we go and kill everybody who does not accept our ideology. Yazid al-Faqir is what he said at the time of the Tabi'een, followers. شغفنا قول من قول. He said, شغفنا. We were hooked by some of the principles that the Khawarij saying. We loved it. And that is, everybody's in hell except for the believers. And if you make a sin or a major sin, you are outside the fold of Islam. That's what it is. Until he met whom? The scholar Jabir ibn Abdullah in Medina. Because they said, let's just pass by Medina and then go to Hajj to make the, to Makkah Hajj. So we passed the Medina, they saw this man is giving talk and teaching the people. And then he talked about the hadith al-Jahannamiyin. Hadith of those people who go to hellfire, and with the shafa'ah, they will come out to go to paradise. So this Yazid stood up for him. What do you say, man? You are the companion of the Prophet of Allah? That they cannot come out from hellfire when Allah Azza wa Jal كُلَّمَا أَرَادُوا أَن يَخْرُجُوا مِنْهَا أُعِيدُوا فِيهَا. Every time they come out of it, they will be returned back. إِنَّكَ مَنْ تُدْخِلِ النَّارَ فَقَدْ أَخْزَيْتَ. Whom you have sent to the fire, you have disgraced and they're not going to come out. So what are you talking about? You're against the Quran. So he said to him, okay, do you read the Quran? He said, yes. Do you know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given a special place for the Prophet of Allah? It's called Al-Maqam al-Mahmud. He said, yes. He said, this is the Maqam al-Mahmud, where the Prophet of Allah will intercede for those people who are from the Muslims who had done sins which made them to go to the hellfire. And then he started to mention to him the hadith of the Jahannami, which is the hadith of where the Prophet ﷺ, he talked about those people from the believers that would come out of the hellfire and they would be coming out, taken out from the hellfire by mustard seeds of iman in their heart until the shafa'ah takes place, and Allah with his shafa'ah would bring the one who did not do any good, When he had heard this hadith, he said to his partners, do you think that this old man lied? Or lying on the Prophet? So all of them, left all this ideology they adopted before. They became, alhamdulillah, Salafi now. Except for one. There's always a problem with one. Except for one. All of them went back. Except for one. So here Jabir ibn Abdullah, he had the way to tackle this shubuhah. He had the proper tools to make the debate with these Khawarij. They were Khawarij. And he brought them back. Abdullah ibn Abbas, he himself on his own faced a whole of 8,000 Khawarij. Went on his own. All the way to tackle their shubuhat. Come on, bring me. What is shubuhat? So when he came, some of them, he said, don't talk to this guy. He's from Quraysh. Qawmun khasimun. These people are just disputers. He said, no, we're going to come and talk to him. We will say to him and we'll convince him. We'll make him Khawarij with us. Or we will just see they were truthful. Some of them were truthful. They want to understand the haqq. So Abdullah Abbas, he asked him, what is the thing that you are angry with Ali ibn Abi Talib? With the cousin of him? Why are you revolting against him? He said 3 things. And Abdullah Abbas tackled these 3 things one after one. He said, if I get you out of these 3 things, would you come out of what you have adopted from this false ideology? He said, yes. One by one, and they were Ahlul Haqq. They were listening. Yes, you're right. You're right. You're right. After the 3, 2,000 came with him. Still, some they're not convinced. إنك لا تهدي من أحببت ولكن الله يهدي من يشاء. You can't really guide whom you are in love with or you love. He wanted to guide all of them, but at least he got back. Why? Because he's immunized with the right knowledge to tackle and also the way of debate. That's what we want to train you to do that, inshallah. Something happened? The window cold? طيب, here inshallah. طيب. Come to the first shubha. We'll tackle 2, inshallah. Now we'll tackle. What time is the Maghrib? You don't know. Right. 15 past maybe? Something like this. 20 past? 20, are you sure, yeah? Yeah, 20 past. He's not sure. If a person said the following, you as a Salafi, you have increased, you all the time saying the following, we have to go back in the times of fitna to the people of knowledge. How many times I've said this here? So many times. So they're going to be tackling this first subha of mine. And say, oh, you all the time, he's coming to me to say to me, you all the time, you say go back to the people of knowledge when there's a time of fitna. And we should not be listening to those youth who are, having just emotions, they are just got the zealous and that's it, no knowledge. We should not be listening to them. But they say, what we do not submit to you, they say to me, they do not submit to you that Shaykh ibn Baz, Shaykh al-Albani, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, that on all of those who are the likes, we do not submit to you and agree with you that they are the ones we should refer back to. So why should we go back to them? We think that we should not go back to them. So they have labeled them with a number of things which are not scholars. So how to refute this argument? That why are you referring us to Shaykh ibn Baz, Shaykh al-Albani, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen for these days? Why? We'll tell them first of all that this fitna is in the deen. It is not a fitna in dunya. Then if it's dunya, we'll refer you to something else. It's fitna in deen. It's not to do with your money being robbed, go to the police. It's fitna in the deen. And the Khawarij, they were not even satisfied with what the Sahaba had held from the knowledge. They didn't have any Sahabi companion. So that's that they were misguided and misguided others. Now we find some youth who had opposed the scholars. Not only that, defamed them, said so many words about them. Some of them even made apostasy upon them. They made takfir onto them. That's why they were misguided and misguided others. So those are the ones who are saying that these scholars and their rank, they cannot be hujjah onto us. We will tell them, Prophet ﷺ, he said, Inna Allah, verily Allah, yab'athu ala ra'si kulli mi'ati am. He would send on the beginning of every 100 years, every century, man yujaddidu laha dinaha, person who will revive the deen of this ummah. He will revive and put the ummah onto the right path. Allah Azza wa Jal will send at the beginning of every 100 years, every century, from the time of the Prophet until the day of resurrection, people who will be the guidelines, milestones for this ummah. And the Salaf, from the beginning, they were counting who were the mujaddideen for every 100 years. So one of the mujaddideen as Al-Imam Al-Shafi'i rahimahullah in the second 100. The first 100 was Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. The counting 100. Do you understand me? Like we are on the, so when the 1400 started, this is called the 15th century. Do you understand that? Yes? Yeah, 1400, the start of the 15th century. So now every 100 years we have scholars who are mujaddideen. Could be one, could be two, could be three, could be more, but there will be somebody there. We're asking. At the beginning of the 14th or the 15th century, 1400 Hijri, who are the scholars that you know and we know, whom their knowledge was spread amongst this ummah, and the people referred to them as scholars? Okay? If you have said there is no scholar was there at the time of the beginning of this 15th century, then you have actually rejected the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. You didn't accept it. Which is the hadith, he said, every 100 years, Allah will send a knowledgeable person, scholar, someone who will revive for this deen, for this ummah's deen. And if you have said that we do that, yeah, there is mujaddid or two or more, but we don't know them. So if they said to you that okay, there's mujaddidin, but we don't know them. So we say to them, how can be the mujaddid is not known? If it's not known, then what's the point of this hadith? Allah sends the mujaddid for the people to know him, not to be hidden. So the people, means Allah would send this mujaddid so that the people can take from their deen. How can he make tajdeed if it's not known? Okay, if they said, well, we submit and we agree that they are mujaddideen. There is mujaddideen. We'll say to them, okay, who are these mujaddideen? So we come to the point, who are the mujaddideen? Tell us from your point of view, who are the mujaddideen? At the beginning of 1400, who are they? If they said, Ikhwani, Sayyid Qutb, okay, Sayyid Qutb, or Hassan al-Banna, or those people, they died before the beginning of the 100th century. Do you understand that? So they're not known. They had to be alive on the 1400, and they had to be, their knowledge spread. If they said Salman al-Uda, Sifr al-Hawali, don't you know these names? They were changing the nappies, 1400. They were young. Do you understand me? So who are these people who are known? Yeah, they were nappies. Their mother was changing the nappies. Who are the people who are known? Who are the people unknown from the scholars? For us, we know the Shaykh al-Albani, Shaykh ibn Baz. And Shaykh ibn Uthman, he was old as well at that time. But maybe he's not as old as their knowledge is known. and others who are the likes from the scholars. These are the ones who are mujaddidun. So if you have to agree, and you have agreed that those people are the mujaddidun, okay, so why do you go away from the manhaj that they are setting, the milestones? We're not saying to you to abide every fatwa of theirs regarding in terms of fiqh, in terms of wudu. No, talking about the aqidah, the manhaj, the methodology. That's the one we're talking about. Why don't you go with them then, if they are the mujaddidun now? So if they said no, they are not mujaddideen, then you have then first of all you did not really come up with a mujaddideen for us, and either you're going to be belying or denying the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one of the things that had to be abided with now, either you're going to be going against the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, okay, and that there will be no mujaddideen at the beginning of the century, or you're saying that there is mujaddideen and we should don't know them. Again, it's the same thing. How can we have mujaddideen and we don't know them? So we have left now with those other mujaddideen that we know, Shaykh ibn Baz, Shaykh ibn Albani, Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen, they are well clear for us that they are the mujaddidun. And by the way, Shaykh ibn Baz had testified for Shaykh al-Albani, he's a mujaddid. When he was asked, who is the mujaddid of the 15th century? He said, I know nobody except for Shaykh al-Albani, rahimahullah. Mujaddid. No doubt about that. Second doubtful matter, and that is, if a debate takes place and somehow you have mentioned those great scholars in the deen, and you have explained to them what is your role, that is, you must follow their milestones, and you have given him from the proofs which I've given in my lecture tonight or today, okay, and you have said to him that the scholars' methodology is different from the methodologies of those youth, those partisans, and those jama'at. And he said, well, we do not accept fatwa from the scholars who are safe and secure. They are not in the prisons. Yeah. Wallahi, one of them, he said to me that, did he go to this prison, the scholar? Because I don't listen to anybody except if he's gone to the prison. If he's gone to the prison, that means it's genuine. Wallahi, by Allah. He said it to me. I don't believe in any scholar who doesn't go to prison. Like this. He was a mujahid in Afghanistan, mashallah. I don't believe in a scholar who does not go to prison. He has to go to prison. I said, alhamdulillah. Shaykh al-Albani, by the way, went more than once in prison. Do you believe in that? Oh, really? Allahul Musta'an. So he says, I do not take from these scholars who are safe. They don't go to prison. They've never been to the prison, because the scholars, that means they've been saying something against the leaders, definitely, and the leader had put them in the prison. That's what it is. They're talking about Sayyid Qutb. You know, Sayyid Qutb was martyred, he was killed in the prison cell. And also, he says that we do not accept from those scholars who take salaries from the state, from the country. Because they take salaries, khalas, they are from the government. So they have no leadership for those who are away, or not for them. And their fatwa in jihad will not be accepted. And he could mention to you that, my knowledge, I did not take it from masajid or from sitting on the university desks. No, I took it from the prisons. That's my knowledge, mashallah. So his teachers are in the prison. His teachers are in the prison. And we have taken it while we are under the tyranny. That's the proper knowledge. How do we answer like this? You know that Sayyid Qutb, he was not knowledgeable. He was in prison, he was not knowledgeable. Person was just good in words, in Arabic, adab, literature. But in terms of religious knowledge, he didn't take any religious knowledge. He was in the prison. So they take him as a role model. How to answer this question? We say, this shubuha, this doubtful matter. We say that this sayings of theirs is saying just to capture the hearing of the people, to make them provoked, to make them revolutionaries, okay, full of emotions, but it's got no knowledge, and it's been built upon a ignorance which is upon ignorance, and having bad opinions as well about the scholars. Now we say, number one, it is not something which is abiding, that the scholar, if he is living in safety and between his people and his students, and he's not in prison, that he's not a good scholar. Who said that? Where is that equation to say it's not abiding? That if the scholar, he did not go to prison and he's living in a proper place and he can teach his people and his children and his students and he's living safe, who said that he's not a Rabbani scholar? Who can say that? Secondly, that the scholar who is holding to his deen, who is holding to his knowledge, if Allah Azza wa Jal had made him to be safe from entering prisons and from being tested, then this will increase him in opportunities to gain more knowledge. Do you understand me? So if Allah has given him the blessings of not going to prison and not to be punished by the tyrant leaders, then he has been given more opportunities, yes, to gain more knowledge. And this more knowledge, which will reflect into his fatwa and into his sayings to the people. It is in contrast to those youth who had taken a different path than the path of those great scholars and the big scholars. And they're being thrown into the prison because of their foolishness and their emotions, or their actions which is built upon mere emotions, and they were not knowledgeable. And this will make it definitely a chaos in their fatwa, a chaos in their adaptation of things. They don't know anything because they didn't have the knowledge. Or they had just been labeled as heroes and courageous people because they went to prison, but no knowledge. Thirdly, the current situation, the reality, is a big witness that what are the outcomes of the scholars and the outcomes of those youth who had spent their time in prison. What are the outcomes? What did they achieve? Both sides. Scholars spread the knowledge, and you could see their fruits. The fruits even on those youth before they've been struck with this ideology, which is of Khawarij. So those people, the ones who are in prison, before they were drifting away from the Haqq, they were the fruits of these scholars. Subhanallah. So the scholars are the ones who are the reason for so many people to enter Islam. And also the scholars are the ones who explain the deen, whether it's Tawheed or Sunnah, to the people. As for those people or the youth, either they said it's the scholar in the prison, or maybe living in a different country, not a Muslim even country. They are seeking political asylum. So their results and outcome and their influence, those youth, is nothing. It's just wasted the people's age and his life for nothing, and making fitna, and maybe leaving his family, and some of them even had no settlement. Some of them, they are in the countries which are non-Muslims. Fourthly, we say the ones who say that we should not accept the fatwa from those who have salaries from the government, we say that this is nonsense to be refuted, because it doesn't mean that every person who seek or take the salary from the government, he has to follow the government and he would sell his religion that cheap. A'udhu billah. So if those scholars had been proved that they have gone away from the Haqq and opposed the Haqq because of they are after some money and some praise from the governors, okay, we would say to them, where is this? Come on. Fear Allah Azza wa Jal. Allahul Musta'an. Was that true? Was that achieved? Was that said? Or you just forge a lie against them? Ikhwani, these people also, if they said that we don't gain our knowledge except in the prisons, subhanallah, who's the one who had taught you in the prison? I think somebody maybe as well who had been learned from those scholars, but he drifted from the Haqq and he became your teachers. No more than that. So these mashayikh that you have taken knowledge from in the prison, okay, and they themselves, they've taken the knowledge from masajid and from universities, which you yourself had condemned those real scholars for taking such a knowledge from the universities and from the masajid. So why don't you condemn as well your shuyukh, whom they've taken that knowledge from the same source and they are in the prison with you? You see, what is the reason for all this shubha, ikhwani? The reason for all of this shubha, that they have bad opinion about the scholars. They think of the scholars, they are fulfilling the words of the leaders. They don't do the haqq, they don't champion the kalima of la ilaha illallah. And we know that, alhamdulillah, from what we see, that so many of them, when they come back to their outside their drunken state, I would say, they will acknowledge how fool they were. They return back to the haqq. So many of them, some of them, they were khawarij, and they came out and they said, we were fool. We were people, had nobody to guide us the proper way. We had the emotion guiding us and taking us away from the deen. And we apologize for all those scholars that we insulted. We have known many people who are known in the societies. They're not just simple people. They call them celebrities, who had left that path of takfir and all of this, and alhamdulillah, repented to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Third shubha, inshallah, we'll leave it bi'idhnillah for next time. Third shubha is to do with the scholars being accused of their shubha, their fatawa is not synchronizing with each other. We will be talking, inshallah, about that bi'idhnillah in our next class. These classes are very important, ikhwani, for you to learn how to tackle these shubuhat in order to save yourself from coming into the fitna. Fitna is strong and it's waves like the sea, and any person can fall into it unless he's been sitting in the right place, listening to the right people. Now, anybody want to ask? I've got your question from Fadl.
Just want to know about class next week.
Our class next week, inshallah, will be no class for the Eid. Yeah, all right. You want Eid break? Okay, there's no class for Monday or Tuesday, okay? There's a Luton. Nah.
Quite often people say for something happening in Gaza, you can't take a fatwa from some scholar who isn't Gaza.
Yeah, I'm going to tackle this issue. This is here.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah. So you can't take fatwa from those people who are not inside the thing that is happening. We've heard this one happen to Libya, remember? We talked about this. The Libyan people said, we can't take fatwa from the people who are outside Libya. Allahul Musta'an. Only from the people who are inside the Libya. But outside Libya, they don't understand how fool they were. Now they realize how fool they were. They realize now. When they ended up not with one Qaddafi, more than 4 or 5 Qaddafis. Allahul Musta'an. Look what happened to Sudan. Not listen to the scholars. Have you heard about the Sudan? Have you heard about what happened to Sudan? More than Gaza being killed. Because they did not implement what the scholars had said. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. Problem is that people, they see the fitna after the fitna is finished. And the people, problem is as well, they don't learn from the lesson. They keep repeating the same lesson. Same problem again. وَالْمُؤْمِنُ لَا يَبْلُغِ مِنْ جُحْرٍ. Mu'min is not to be stung from the same hole twice. These are stung 100 times and still repeat the same thing. And it's not far in history between one fitna and the other. They don't learn. Before Saddam was killed, people, they will say to you, what are you talking about when you talk about the Rafidah? Akhi, they are Muslims. When Saddam was killed, they are kuffar. So their kuffar or no good is based upon what? Emotions. Because they killed somebody with Saddam, Allah, they're kuffar. Now they've forgotten. Akhi, don't speak about Rafidah. They are the ones Iran helping Palestine. They're sending as well firecrackers, fireworks. Allahul Musta'an. And the people as well, they don't learn. They don't learn that these people, what they've done in Yemen, they've done in Iraq, they don't learn. And he who doesn't read his history properly, he's going to repeat the mistake again and again. So this is the problem with the youth, with the general mass. Allah al-Musta'an. May Allah, we have to be patient and ask this, slowly bring these people to the haqq. So how can you just say that we don't listen to the scholars who are not in the battle? Allah al-Musta'an. So the Prophet ﷺ was not in the battle of Mu'tah. Okay, so the companion should never listen to the Prophet. Prophet, you can't give us any advice because we are in the battle, you're not in the battle. How can it be? How can it be? Now, Ikhwani, اقتربوا. He's sitting at the back. He's not correct. Ikhwani, come here, inshallah. Gain your first row. Brothers, they're looking at me. Maybe he doesn't understand English. Come here, Ikhwani. Never mind.
How would you advise, because a lot of the time the fitna that's occurring outside is between the young people, whether they be at university, at secondary, or between 20 and 27 or something like this. Yeah? How would you advise to get them to come to circles of knowledge? Because sometimes they think, oh, I don't want to go to the masjid because it's like, it's not suitable for me because I'm a young person. They just usually think it's for older people, masajid. Some of the young people today. So how would you advise getting them to the masajid?
How can we get these people or youth to come to the masajid? Alhamdulillah, masajid, most of them are full of youth. Who's the oldie except for me? MashaAllah, the youth, including yourself, you're youth, MashaAllah. But maybe you're talking about students of universities and something like this. Students of universities, maybe it's our role as well that we need to involve ourselves. If a person who is knowledgeable or a person who has got the da'wah of Allah Azza wa Jal, da'iyah, but with knowledge, and he's been called to such events in the ISOX university, remind them of the importance of coming to the masajid. These youth, you have to remind them as well. Because I've seen, alhamdulillah, mashallah, that when it comes to the jama'ah, they make a big jama'ah. When I teach there, mashallah, sisters are even more than the brothers. Allahumma barik. So it's an opportunity. Opportunity for you not to become a celebrity. Opportunity for you to teach these people. These people came to listen to you. So you are a trustee now. You've been entrusted for the deen. Give them the right advice to come and learn. Come to the masajid, link them show them who are the real scholars. They are really confused. Big menu for them, when they go online, a big menu. Who's sheikh, who's a starter, who's the main meal. Big menu. It's a big market. So when I called Sheikh Al-Halabi, may Allah have mercy upon him, Allah, he says, the Fatawa market. He said, what a bad market. He said, Wallahi, what a bad market. Suq. It's a market. If you want to have any fatwa in the deen, just press the button on Google and it'll bring you the fatwa, bring you the sheikh that he wants you to say something that's suitable to your whims and desire. What you want. Now, wallahi, there's some people, because they are following the whims and desire, they used to hate X, Y, Z, some scholars, because they're not on their manhaj. Because they're Salafis. But because of this fitna of Palestine, that those 1 or 2 or 3, they're saying things which is suitable and going along with them, these using that scholar against me to be as a proof. So subhanallah. Not a long time ago when you used to swear against a scholar. When you used to call him his government scum. We used to call him, he's just like between his library. Now he's using his words against, what a whims and desire. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's using that, he's not using the proof. No. See, look, and then he sends you such and such scholar, well-known names. SubhanAllah. Is this the knowledge? Is this the knowledge? We are not following of men, ikhwani. We are following of the proof. We're following the Prophet ﷺ. Why do you differ from the seerah, the biography of the Prophet ﷺ in his jihad? Why? Why do you differ from him? His jihad is there. Why do you differ from him? What did he do, Khalid bin Walid radiallahu anhu, when he saw this massive big army in Rome? The Romans coming to him. Can you find better people than those people who were fighting the Romans at that time? Amongst them Abu Hurairah, amongst them Zayd al-Arqam, amongst them Abdullah ibn Rawaha, amongst them Zayd ibn Haritha, amongst them Ja'far ibn Abi Talib. Cream of the crop of the Sahaba, they were there. Can you bring somebody like them? Are the people in Palestine like them? A'udhu billah. No way. There's no comparison. And they were what? More than 3,000 people. Big army. So did they say, well, وَكَمْ مِنْ فِئَةٍ قَلِيلَةٍ غَلَبَتْ فِئَةً كَثِيرًا. Few people can, they quoted the Quran, that maybe a small group will defeat a big group. Did they say this? No. Khalid bin Walid, he saw this. There's no win whatsoever. So he made a tactical, he's an experience in war. He just embraced Islam, by the way. Just embraced Islam. And they gave him the leadership. Because he's a warrior. So straight away he took the army, he made a victory by not engaging with the enemies. Because the enemies had their opportunity to kill the Muslims, because there were so many. So they went back and left. And the Romans didn't dare to come. They said, oh my God, this person is what? Having some people to help him, and he's laying an ambush for us. That's what they thought. They didn't follow him. He got the victory. But did he say, we are few, and we are Sahaba, and we are upon Iman, let's go and fight the Romans? Did he say that? Why don't you just listen, Akhi? Did they say that? And they are better than the ones in Palestine. They haven't done this. Wallahi, they haven't done this. But people, they don't really read in their seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Never ever the Prophet ﷺ said to him, you Khalid, you coward. You should have engaged with the enemies. You were 3,000 upon one heart. Muslim Sahaba being brought in the Aqidah. Why don't you just fight the Romans? Why did you leave? Never said that to him, you coward. Because he could see that there is no match. So you're telling me there is a match between those little people, even 3,000 little, with their fireworks, matching those planes and bombs and cannons. فئة كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة. يا أخي سبحان الله. Drunk. People are drunk. Talking to somebody who's not really aware. He's not there to see it. And if you bring him a person from Palestine saying the reality, saying, you always bring me somebody who is, he's a kha'in, a betrayer, he says. He doesn't want to listen to you. What should you do with this person? You just ask Allah to guide him. You make dua. Allah al-Musta'an. طيب. We have the adhan now, isn't it? سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.
الله أكبر.